Joining me with a look at that, plus the Republican health care plan, is House Majority Leader Congressman Kevin McCarthy of California. Congressman McCarthy, good to have you here. Welcome to Intel.
Thanks for having me on.
All right, I want to start here with the Fed. How do you interpret today's move, this quarter-point hike? What does it tell you about our economy right now?
Well, it means that the Fed thinks this economy is strong, but I see a little difference. Maybe it's the rise of what's happening in the market based upon a new administration, seeing a difference when it comes to the regulation and others. But it always makes me a little nervous when the cost of capital gets higher. But more importantly, the cost of what our debt is to the American public. As that interest rate goes up higher, that means to manage that debt costs us even more just in interest.
So would you prefer, Representative, to actually have the Fed kind of, keep their powder dry in this kind of environment, take a wait-and-see approach, see how the economy shakes out, whether or not we actually start to see any inflation before they move?
I'd rather wait a little longer and see where the economy is going. I do know, especially what we're doing on reg reform, but think about it. If we're successful with health care, that takes away the 30-hour work week, where the lack of the 50 employees as well. That has harmed this economy, and that will help small business. If we get tax reform and we start getting growth over 3% and 4%, that's when we're really going to start solving the problems. I think that's the best thing we do for the economy.
Investors certainly agree with you. I mean, a lot of the upside that we're seeing on Wall Street is dependent on health care reform and tax reform, and they're saying that the market is supported on these ideas, but they're dependent on Congress here to come through. So that gets us to whether or not Congress really can. What's your thought right now, given the division we've seen within the Republican Party on repeal and replace?
Well, I see it moving through because think about this. You understand why we're here, everybody does, that Obamacare is failing, from the exchanges to the expansion of Medicaid. You got 1/3 of all the counties with only one provider. 18 of the 23 co-ops have collapsed. We've got to do something different. Premiums continue to rise. Our latest, and we're going in 3 phases, this is our first phase, the CBO comes out and says premiums will be lowered. That's great. And also that the American public could actually choose themselves of when their health care, not government dictating to where health care plans they have to provide. That's a great start. That's why it's passed 2 committees already, with every Republican voting for it. And we'll move it through the Budget Committee, and then through rules, and then onto the floor, and then it goes to the Senate. And I hear from a lot of different senators. The great thing about it is they're legislators as well. They can offer amendments, they can make changes, give their ideas.
So there can be tweaks.
And we'll solve the problem.
Yes. And it sounds like you all are very willing to negotiate on that front, which is encouraging. When we talk about timetable here, August is when the market is hoping for tax reform. Steve Mnuchin, Treasury Secretary, told our own Neil Cavuto it's going to be signed, sealed, and delivered by August. A lot of that, though, is dependent on health care reform. Do you think you can get it done in time?
Yes, I do. Because once we solve health care, and remember, we're repealing all those taxes. This is the repeal that we did last year, but also the replacement, exactly what we promised the American public we would do. Well, that repeals those taxes, that lowers the baseline by $1 trillion. That gives you a much larger tax reform bill that you could produce and get this economy moving.
Representative, you got Donald Trump there in Nashville tonight, and he's going to be selling this plan. They're out stumping for it. Is it going to come down to him? I mean, how does Paul Ryan fit into all this, yourself as well? I mean, do you need the leadership right now of the president to basically get some members of the party back in line?
Look, we're a team here. I was talking to the president yesterday along with the speaker. We were talking to the vice president today. We are a team together with this administration, laying out a plan to put a health care plan that actually works, that empowers the individual and lowers the premiums. And that's the bill that we have. I think with all of us working together, we can get it through. I would hate to see the idea that others that say, just repeal it, because that would double the premiums, because it'd take away the subsidies. It would collapse the market. Then you're going to sit around and wait for 60 votes from the Democrats.
And you got to get it right. I mean, there's a lot at stake here. You can't do it in a sort of, halfway approach. Congressman McCarthy, it's good to see you. Thank you so much. I wish we had more time, but I got to get to Janet Yellen, who's going to be speaking shortly.
Well,
I hope to talk to you again soon. Excellent.
I will.